People, welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. I am the president of the Off the Ball Network, and I'm happy to be back recording another episode of the Off the Ball podcast. I know you're happy I'm back. I got a lot to talk about today. It's NBA draft season. Well, me being a Knicks fan, I'm always used to getting ready for the NBA draft. But can't wait to dive into draft season. This is year 3 for me covering the NBA draft. So I'm very excited to get into it. A little late in the process, work, family, all that stuff. You guys know how that goes. Kind of get lost in that, but try to find some time to record and all that. I got some good things coming up in the next the NBA draft. Got some shows lined up. Got some mock drafts. I love doing those live mock drafts for you guys. Hopefully some interviews with some prospects that I'm working on. So a lot to come. I'm gonna jam pack them in and get them out to you guys. Because those things have really been something that I love to do. The draft has been a big part of the show's success and what's helped launch the network side of this whole crazy sports media world. So excited to dive in. It's going to be kind of like my first full show talking about the draft and all that. So let's get right into it. Let's not hesitate. Let's get right into it. NBA draft lottery has come and gone, and the Orlando Magic have won the lottery for, I believe, the 4th time. They have won the lottery. I think Shaq, C. Webb, Dwight, and I think this is their 4th time winning the lottery. So they will select number 1, followed by the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Houston Rockets, Sacramento Kings, the Detroit Pistons, the Indiana Pacers, Portland Trailblazers, New Orleans Pelicans. They get the pick from the Los Angeles Lakers, San Antonio Spurs, Washington Wizards, the New York Knicks, Oklahoma City Thunder getting the pick from the Los Angeles Clippers, the Charlotte Hornets, and followed by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, obviously, let's start top. And I'm not going to do a whole mock draft. I'll save that for another show. Just get into like some of the top prospects. And we all know who are kind of the cream of the crop in this class. And it's obviously Jabari Smith from forward from Auburn. We got Chet Holmgren, the big from Gonzaga. Paolo Banchero from the Duke Blue Devils, big man. And then Jaden Ivey, the guard from Purdue. That's probably like most people's consensus top 4. And I've seen people with Shade Sharp, who's kind of been like the ultimate wild card of this. And I'll speak about it a little bit. But for the most part, that's everyone's top 4, whether you have Paolo 1, or you have Jabari 1, or you have Chet 1. Those are usually, I've seen very few people have Ivy 1, but for the most part, those top 3 are in the mix for being everyone's number 1 pick, and Jaden is usually in that 4th spot. So, what do the Orlando Magic do with the number 1 pick? Obviously, they have some very good young pieces. They've hit on some. Last year they took Jalen Suggs, and then they took Franz Wagner. Suggs had had an up and down kind of rookie season, battled some injuries, but still, shows a lot of potential, right? I still like him a lot. Going into draft, people were kind of questioning his upside. I kind of thought that was kind of weird, but I still think, I know people were down on him too. Some people called him a bust. That just drove me through a wall, but not a bust. I think there's a lot of potential with him. Cole Anthony, obviously another great player they took a few years back. Then Franz Wagner, he shocked me. I shouldn't say shocked, but he definitely impressed me more than I thought. I didn't think that I would see the instant impact right away and him make such an impact, for this team and be kind of efficient. He did some good things. I didn't expect him. I had him in like in the late, kind of like 19 to like 25 range last year's draft. And, obviously he went higher, and I thought that was kind of a reach, but proved me wrong so far this year. Had a very good rookie season, and they got some nice pieces, and they got Markel Fultz coming back from an injury, Wendell Carter, RJ Hampton. But to me, I think Jabari's. I know it's kind of, and then from what you hear is that Jabari and Chet are 1-2, and that makes sense. That makes sense because Jabari as a wing gives you everything you want in today's basketball, right? He can shoot, 3-level type of player, and he can bring it on the other side of the basketball. And I know Chet is kind of like this guy from outer space. Like, we haven't seen something like this ever. Like, he's kind of very unique. And some people will bring up Porzingis, who went top 4 to the New York Knicks a few years back, and then Pokusevski, who went to Oklahoma City. I think he's different from those guys. I think there's very different. We just haven't seen a player like this. He's probably more KP-ish, but still, he's still very unique. Very unique. Because he's as I know people bring up the physique, and he's definitely going to have to get strong. But I don't see that, and I've talked about this with plenty of guys. Like, I don't see that as like a weakness. Like, I think eventually he's going to get stronger, right? When you get to the next level, you're going to get stronger. I mean, they said the same thing about Giannis. I'm not saying he's Giannis, but Giannis was the same skinny guy, and then look at him now. I'm not saying Chet's even be like that, but you're going to get stronger. Like, I'm not really worried about that because he was banging with people. He was banging with people. He was banging with Paolo. When they played Duke, he was banging with Paolo. He was banging down low with some of the guys. I know they played the greatest competition out there in the left coast in Zaga, but he was banging. I think he's a lot more tougher than people give credit to with Chet. But obviously those are going to be the two positions. And I've talked about this a lot. The top 3 guys, right, who we feel like are going to go 1, 2, 3. Those teams, they feel like they're a part of those teams. Like Jabari going to Orlando, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say this, but he feels like an Orlando Magic. He just feels like he would fit there, and he's a perfect fit, exactly what they need. Oklahoma City with Chet, he feels like an Oklahoma City Thunder. It just feels like that type of player. They like those developmental guys. They're going to take a couple of years maybe to process and develop. He feels like a Thunder. And then Houston with Paolo feels like a Houston Rocket. He just feels like a Houston Rocket. He fits that culture, kind of feels like he fits that culture perfect. So essentially, they all 3 be going to spots where I feel like they fit perfect. All perfect spots. Especially, Jabari. I mean, they need perimeter shooting out in Orlando. Bottom 3 and 3-point shooting. He definitely helps that. I think he's above, close to 40% 3-point shooter. And they also have Mo Bamba too. So like taking Chet, I know Mo, he kind of came on a little bit this year, and I know he's still trying to get a grasp of who Mo Bamba is, but they have, if they believe in Mo Bamba, then it's, do you want another type-ish player like with Chet who, is going to, be around the rim blocking shots, and obviously he can shoot. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm very, very excited to see what happens, with those picks and see if there's a team. Because, I believe Jaden Ivey is the 4th best prospect in this draft. But there's stuff, after you hearing stuff that, people like Shaedon Sharpe. And Shaedon Sharpe, to me, is the ultimate wild card. Obviously did not play a single second of college basketball this year at Kentucky. But a superior athlete, right? 19 years old, got the combo, got the combination of size, speed, strength at just 19 years old. And just from what you see, and obviously it's just highlights and just tape off high school and just all the AAU stuff, it's still enticing. It's still enticing to take him high because obviously there's boom or bust potential with that because you haven't seen him play against high level competition, but he has all the skill set to be a a perennial type all-star type player, and that's what you want in that top five. You want to draft those type of players. And has all the, I mean, like I said, like I mentioned before, I think he's like 6'5", 6'6". I think he has close to a 7-foot wingspan from what I remember reading, when he's got measured and all that. So there's a lot of stuff to like about him. He's just we just don't know anything about him. We don't know anything about him. But you pair him up, if you put him in Detroit, right? Because Detroit has the 5th pick right now. And let's say Ivy does go to the Kings. You put him at 5, and you put him with Cade. I mean, that's, man, woo-hoo! That could be special. They get another team with some good young pieces in that. So that'll be interesting to see. He's obviously someone that's going to be very intriguing. Because he could even go up higher. I wouldn't be surprised. He goes up even higher because the talent's there. And after that, I think, not that it's a drop off in talent, I just think it's very close after that 4 or 5. To me, in my opinion, the 5 is those guys. The 5 is a combination of whatever. Whether it's Chet, Paolo, Ivy, Jabari, and Shaedon Sharpe. I think those are the top 5 picks as of right now. That can obviously change, but that's what I feel are the top 5 picks. After that is a crapshoot. And it's not because the talent is a significant drop. I don't think that's the case. I just think there's a lot of guys bunched up together. And just in some mocks, you're just seeing a lot of different guys. I mean, some mocks you see Jeremy Sochan, who's risen up. He kind of took the spot of Kendall Brown. Brown was the one that was, top 10 with all the athletic ability and all that. And Jeremy just kind of took his spot. And now we don't know what Kendall Brown's going to do, So who goes 6? I think there's a variation of guy. I think you're going to have the Keegan Murrays, the Shochans, the Johnny Davises, the Benedict Matherins, the AJ Griffins. AJ Griffin's another one. He's another guy that top 5 talent, but there's going to be a lot of things that teams are going to ask for, the health concerns, a lot of injuries, just pre-Duke, and then start off his Duke career with a lot of injuries, and just some concerns maybe with some of his shooting and all that, and his defense. His defense is a little suspect. Now, there's potential for him to be I wouldn't say a great defender, but the potential to be a solid, a respectable defender. He has the size, like I said, he has all that, but just wasn't just that guy. Let's just keep it that way. He just wasn't that guy. But I think the injury concerns are something that's gonna have him maybe not a significant drop, but maybe dropped to the teens. Maybe I could see that with AJ Griffin, because he's another boomer bust. I think he's a boomer bust type prospect. I think he's either going to hit or he's going to just not be relevant. And I'm rooting for him. I was a Duke fan. I'm rooting for him, and he has all the potential to be like a 3-level type player. Has, like I said, all the measurables and all that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. He's another guy. Dyson Daniels. A couple of G League guys. With Marjon Bainchop, and I don't know if I said that right. I think I said that wrong. I always mess up. I'm horrible with names, by the way. Very bad with names. But Dyson Daniels, Bainchop, Jaden Hardy is another. I mean, beginning of the season last year, this season, we were talking about Hardy being in that top 5 mix, and he's kind of dropped in case, and I still think he's to me a lottery type player. I think he's just a scoring machine, but I could see people drop and see why people have him dropping, but he could be a steal for someone in that mid to late, teens to the 20s. I think someone can get themselves a very good player. And Patrick Baldwin, Patrick Baldwin's someone that obviously has another guy who was consensus, a 5-star blue chip prospect, was originally supposed to. I think all signs says he was going to Duke, then goes to play at UW Milwaukee with his pops, and that just didn't go well at all. Didn't go well at all. And another guy with 6'10", I think he has 7 foot plus wingspan. Not a super, not athletic. I don't think he tested well as far as like his vert. I think his vert was, in the bottom tier, but he was never that type of player anyway. So that was kind of expected. But someone that has a nice stroke from deep, didn't shoot the ball, but I think I try to factor in also that his team just wasn't good at all. Like he was on a to say bad is an understatement. It's very bad. So I think he's someone that a lot of people said, I think he was going to enter the transfer portal, and if he had come back, he's definitely going to go somewhere else. But if he does stay in, I still think he'll go top 20 for sure. I still think he's a top 15 talent, and I think he'll go in the 20s, and that might benefit him in the long run. Obviously, he's going to cost him some money because we obviously thought he was going to be a higher pick, but could benefit him down the line. And there's some guys in the lottery that might, that we haven't heard about a lot, but that I'm hearing from people and just the buzz. There's a couple guys' names that you're hearing lottery, talk. And one in particular that's really getting a lot of buzz is Jalen Williams, the guard out of Santa Clara. He if you just look at the measurables of him, man, 7'2" wingspan, 6'6", 200 pounds, got better every year at Santa Clara. And I love to see guys with that trajectory where they just get better and better every year. To me, that's what I love to see. Making those big leaps. Goes from being 43. Now he dropped a little bit of sophomore year, but then jumped again, made a massive jump in year 3. Shooting 51%. Almost 40 from 3. 80% from the line. Giving you 4 rebounds, 4 assists, what a steal a game. He's really shown. I mean, and then just everyone you hear from is just like loves how he's performing at the combine and just feels like what they saw at Santa Clara is going to translate to the pros. Just the skill set, his playmaking ability, his scoring, just a lot of stuff. 40-inch vert, I think was the just reading off my notes, like I believe it was the 5th highest vert at anyone at the combine. His max vert. I mean, so that's a guy that I could see absolutely, being one of those sneaky guys in the lottery. So he's someone that I've seen rising a lot in a lot of people's eyes that could be a sneak. A guy that I trust a lot and is one of the best in the business, Rafael Barlow, said he's hearing from teams that he could sneak into the lottery. And I think a lot of the guys have him maybe late first and all that possibly, but I'm hearing that he can possibly be, getting that lottery. And there's always feels like there's a guy that sneaks into that lottery, and I feel like he could be that guy. So that's going to be interesting to see where he goes. Exact quote from Raphael. Rumblings from the NBA Combine Chicago. Don't be surprised if Jalen Williams ends up as a lottery pick. So that's huge. And another guy that I like a lot, because being a Duke fan, he played against Duke. And this NC State team really is frustrating because they got so much talent with Seabrook and then the guy I'm going to talk about, Travion Smith. Another one that maybe can sneak into that lottery. Like I said, this miserable's disappointing. Everything you could say about this NC State team. But he showed out in that Duke game when they were at Cameron. He showed out. I remember he had a very good first half, made some buckets, at the end of that for that really showed out. There's another guy I like a lot. I think the people will fall in love with, his will look at the shooting percentage and be like, oh, no, he's a below average, shooter and all that, but he did shoot 37% from three this year, and just had to take on a lot of the load, with the team not being great. No, he had Sebron, but just the team not being tremendously, not a good team at all. But I think he's a bucket getter. Hey, simple. He's a bucket getter. That's that simple, man. That's just that simple. Just some other notes and news, and like I said, we won't keep this on because I'm gonna actually work on another pod. I'm gonna have set up for for the next show. But Jackson Davis, the guy from Indiana, a guy who had top 60, and not a lot of people had him out because they don't buy, inside out game, he old school type of style, with Trace. But he decided that he's going to go back to school, go back to Indiana, and that might be beneficial for him. Go back, work on his game, work on the outside shooting. I think he's someone that can really get some serious first round buzz next season. So, I'm excited to be. He's probably, if I had to say, he's probably one of my favorites for player of the year. Definitely the player of the year candidate. I think he's going to work on some stuff in his game, and I think he'll come next year and he'll be a work on that outside. And if the outside game is clicking next season, this is a first round pick. Let's just say that he's a first round pick. I would have took him in the top 45 this year, simply because I like what he could do. His inside game to me, is still valuable in today's basketball. So, and I do think he can stretch it out. So, he's coming back for another year, and for another season in Indiana. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And like I said, player of the year type of candidate. But I had my last note. I had a trade. Somebody brought this trade up for me, and obviously the New York Knicks are involved. And then they mentioned to me that they had a trade in mind. And I'm going to bring it up right now because obviously I think the Knicks kind of in a tough spot, just roster construction wise. I feel like they got a good blend of youth, but they got some vets that are, Julius and that they got to figure out Mitchell Robinson if they're going to pay him. RJ's eligible for a rookie max extension, so they got to figure out money things, things money wise. But I feel like they still need another They need a blue chipper, and a trade, that that someone had brought up to me, and like I said, I'm going to bring it up right now. And I wanted to get Knicks fans' thoughts on this, and I posted this. My guy Brett Siegel, who writes for SI Now, and Fast Break on Fan Nation. Is an insider, does really good work. So make sure to check his work out. But he had an offer, and that he wrote, and it was the Knicks received Rashawn Holmes and the Sacramento's fourth pick in exchange for Kemba, Cam Reddish, the Knicks 2022 first, which is the 11th pick, Dallas's 2023 first round pick, top 10 protected. Do you do obviously Sacramento? I mean, it's not a crazy, but it's an offer that most people would probably be like, no, I am not going to do that. That doesn't make sense. But Sacramento with that fourth pick is kind of, I think they're going to want to trade down, because they have all the guards. They had a ton load of guard, and they shipped off, Tyrese Halliburton. So they're not going to need a guard, and after that, they could probably get a guy they want later. Later in the draft. So they're kind of in the spot where they kind of wanted that top three so they can get one of those top guys. And, Rashawn Holmes has obviously been banged up and all that. And the Knicks obviously have some things to figure out with Mitch. And this can give them a cheaper option if they don't decide to re-sign Mitch. I mean, they'll have Rashawn Holmes is is only making 11 million, essentially 11 million dollars this year. He'll make 12 and close to 13 in 2020, 25, unrestricted in 25. So I don't think this is that bad of a trade for either team. Obviously, I don't think they would do it, Sacramento, but you never know. It's the Sacramento Kings. This may not be realistic for most of the teams, but it's Sacramento Kings. So you just never know. They traded Tyrese Halliburton. And then to me, this still doesn't make sense. Why you trade a guy like that, to me, who has all-star type potential. So I wonder, for the Knicks, I think they got to swing and try to get in that top four somehow. They got some assets, maybe throw in another young player if you can. But to get that and to get a Jaden Ivey in New York, and I've been harping on point guard, because the Knicks just have been inept at that spot. They still got Derrick Rose, but Derrick Rose is, let's face it, he's getting older and he's had a lot of injuries. And in this year, injury-riddled season, they got Emmanuel Quickly, who I like a lot, who's not a traditional point, but is a bucket getter. Jaden Ivey, you inject Jaden Ivey into this team, man, that is special. That is absolutely special if they could do that. If this is a realistic possibility, and I don't know if it is, it's just a trade idea, but it was an idea that got brought up to me, and I just wanted to ask people and see if this is something that you would like to see as a Knicks fan. So, let me know how you feel about that. Off the Ball Pod on Twitter. Reach out to me there and see how you like this offer, that trade offer. I don't know if it's there or not, but I do believe the Knicks are going to try to move up and get in that top four. So we'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. So excited about that. But on that note, I don't have anything else. Like I said, I got some mock drafts lined up, got some special guests lined up. So I want to get you a little dose of what's going on in the world of the NBA draft and all that. And like I said, very excited to put on some more great content talking about the draft and all that. So on the next show, just make sure to follow me at Off the Ball Pod. That's where I'm most active. Personal is on. I forgot my personal. I don't even use it that much, but make sure to follow the network. Obviously, brand new offtheballnetwork.com. Check that out. Brand new logo. Got a lot of things cool going on there. And like I said, rate, review, 5 stars. Follow us. Follow make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Trying to get to 300. Trying to keep growing the brand. Try to get those YouTube numbers up. Try to hopefully get the 1K one day, like some of you goats. Trying to be like some of you greats out there. Got to try to get the 1K. But on that note, be well, be safe, take care. NBA draft is almost here. I'm excited. Like I said, a lot of great content coming. Stay tuned. Be well, be safe. Peace out.